We are live, and today we're going to talk about Russia, the Russian situation, and basically it's causing a lot of issues, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And how do we navigate towards all that to stick, make profit, and be ahead of the curve? We're going to discuss about all that coming up after the intro.
Hey, yeah. It's all about wealth engineering. Might be something that you're not used to. It's okay, cause I'm here to introduce you to concepts. Time to grow and make big moves. All about crypto, come see. Stocks and business, yes indeed. Got the info that you need. Hosted by my homie JC. Hey, yeah. Wealth engineering. Stacking and stacking it up. It's time to generate wealth. Till you living like Scrooge McDuck. Hey, wealth engineering. It's time to show you the game. Till you living like Richie Rich. Till you ballin' like Bruce Wayne. Hey, you ain't gotta be an expert, no problem. It don't really matter where you at, just start it. It'll take time, hard work, and
What's up, guys? This is JC, and welcome to the Wealth Engineering Podcast. This is where I create content so that you can learn how to make, keep, and multiply money for the purpose of increasing your net worth, retire early, and build generational wealth. So, if these are the things that are interesting you, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell. Now, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Are you able to ride the bear market like the professionals out here, right? You've seen the title, you've seen how Vladimir Putin is riding that bear, right? So that's exactly the visual I want you to have. When we have fears, uncertainty, and doubt, you need to be calm and collected and basically take advantage of what's going on and buy more assets so that you can increase your wealth in the long term. So we're going to discuss about all that, and also we're going to talk about basically the market, like what is happening on a global level. Why is this Russian situation is a big deal, and basically understanding that could give us an idea on how long it's going to last. And knowing that, we can make plans along the way on, okay, so if this is going to last maybe the entire year, maybe half of the year, then we need to make plans on how do we deal with that. And understanding that can help you formulate a plan. You adapt your situation so that you can buy more assets. You know how it's going to last. And sometimes these topics, they usually affects the market right at the beginning, and then the market kind of like recover themselves, kind of like CV19 in 2020, right? Soon as it happened, lockdown happened, everything crashed in like within a week. After it slowly start building up again, right? So we may actually just starting the crash-ish issue, but maybe at some point we might see the market go sideways or slowly back up. But it depends on which market we're talking about. So that's another thing we're going to talk on this video as well, or this stream. But yeah, these are the topics I had ready for you, and we're going to have this discussion right here. So whenever you get there, say hi in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button, and let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it. All right. So what the first thing we're going to talk about is what is a bear market? Because hey, if you want to know how to ride the bear market, then you need to understand how to ride one. What is the bear market, right? You need to understand what is the bear market. So, how are you doing, Mr. Cashflow Hunter? We've been talking almost all day on the Discord. And yes, guys, if you haven't joined already, make sure you check the link in the descriptions. And on Discords, I share a lot of information with people that are in there whenever possible. And lately, we have this hot deal on a real estate in the Cayman Islands dropping on the public chat, on a real estate chat. So if you guys want to learn more about that, join in on Discord and get more details. But yes, salute to you, sir. Thank you for being here and supporting. And we're going to talk about Russia here and why is it affecting the market. But first, what is a bear market, right? And make sure you hit the like button, guys, as you come in. Really helps with the platform here. All right, so a bear market, guys, you know me by now. I like to go on Investopedia. That's like the ABCs of investing. And a bear market is when a market experiences a prolonged price decline. It is typically described as a condition in which securities prices falls 20% or more, right, from recent highs amid widespreading pessimism and negative investor sentiment. Now, pessimist, right? What would investor be pessimist these days? And why would they have a negative sentiment these days, right? Well, hence the war that's possibly happening right now. And we got to talk about that. That's basically what we're going to talk about today. Bear market are often associated with the decline in an overall market or index like the S&P 500, but individual securities or commodities can also be considered to be in a bear market if they experience a decline of 20%. Right. So basically, 20% is the ballpark. We'll get into that. So we haven't dropped 20% yet, but why is everyone freaking out? Is like we can make a case that hey, we're getting close to it. Shout out to J Bones with the super sticker. Thank you very much, sir. So currently the sponsor of the stream, just dropping. I hope to no. Oh, hey, no worries, man. Thank you for coming here. Catch you later. No worries. Thank you very much for being here. And if you're still here, definitely I'll try to reach out to you. We gotta have this talk right about them old days. But thank you very much for your support, J Bones, and keeping them honest. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. It really helps. All right, guys. So yes, that's what a bear market is, guys. It's basically a drop in the market depending on some negative things that could happen overall. And right now, we're going to a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the market does not like fear. Because here's the thing, let's say there's a bad news, right? And it's bad. Let's say it's going to be lasting a long time. Once they know about it, then they can kind of make a plan. The market or anyone, an investor, a company, anyone, country can make a plan around that bad news so that they can figure it out how to deal with it and move forward, right? So as they're moving forward, it's going to calm the investors because there is a plan out there. We're sure where it's going. At least we believe in the plan, and everyone is calm, right? So basically that's why that's the thing. But when there is uncertainty, then you don't have a plan yet because you are uncertain which direction things will be moving ahead. So you are uncertain, you don't sure where it's going. And most people in that case, they're just sit back, relax, and observing what's happening. Most of the time they don't relax, they just freak out as they're observing what's going on. But because of that uncertainty in the market, that creates a panic sells. No one is buying, most people are selling, price are dropping, and then that could severely affect your portfolio on a short term, right? On a short term. Hence, that's where you're going to have price drops around 20% or more. In cryptocurrencies, this is a good day if you have a drop of 20%. So it's nothing serious in cryptos, but in the stock market, it can be very painful. All right, it can be very painful, and we'll see how that goes. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Yes, we need to talk. Uh, we need to have that talk. No worries, sir. Well, I'll reach out to you soon. And yes, guys. So that's the first. We know what a bear market is, and now we understand the effects of what can happen when you have when you have bad sentiment out there, and fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People are very emotional when it comes to investing. Most of the masses are, and that's why they lose money. And when you are too emotional and you have something like this that creates uncertainty, then yeah, if you're not prepared, if you don't have a plan, you're going to suffer from it. And you might sell when you're not supposed to. You might sell at a loss, and you might sell basically after yeah, exactly. You might sell at a loss, but most people, what they do in these cases, they actually buy more. But we'll get into that later. So bear market comes first. Then after there is the recession that can come, and then after recession is the depression. Now in this scenario that we have here, there is so many things that converges to a recession that it's really creating some fear out there, and it's actually justified because when you have that much potential for recession, it's never a good thing. and a recession has a wider impact in a longer time frame when it comes to the effect in the economy, right? So you got to understand all that, and yeah, that's what a recession can do in a market. But even a recession is not as bad as a depression, right? Depression. So are we there yet? No. But hey, let me show you what a depression would be. A depressed market produce on the wait. There you go. I think I clicked the wrong thing. Yeah. Depressed market state of condition, market product currencies or security characterized by a slump price, low volume, lack of buyers. But what they're not mentioning is the time frame. It can last a very long time. And yeah, remember the Great Depression and all, so it could really last a long time. But but what first thing we're going to need to understand is what's happening right now in Russia, right? Why is there a problem? Right? What's going on right now that everyone, all the news are talking about Russia, Russia, Russia. Why now? All these questions are things that we should be looking into, and they're calling it the Ukraine crisis. And all these words are trigger words that creates more and more fear. You have all the media pushing this out there, creating more and more fear, right? Shout out to Cashflow Hunter. Russia situation and interest rate risk, a great panic recipe. Absolutely, absolutely. And the inflation rate started before the Russian scenario really got deteriorized, right? Shout out to you, Paris Johnson. Thank you for being here. Salute to you. Salute to you as well, Wally. Sorry if I didn't mention that earlier, but salute to you. I just saw you here. And also, guys, yes, and it's serious out there, guys. It's serious out there. Lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt situation that can create unstable markets over the long term. And that could lead to a recession. That could lead to also to a depression. Who knows? But it's too early to tell. But right now, there is many things converging into unstable price in the market. Right? Rebel asked Russia for help in potential prelude war. This is the latest news in this Russian crisis happening right now. But first, a little bit of history. Why? And again, that's also more things that can help you understand the forces, the uncontrollable forces that can affect your wealth, right? I always talk about that on my channel. If you're new on my channel, then maybe that's the first time you're hearing this, but I always talk about when you do investing, right? One thing that many people do not do, and that's what separates the pro versus the beginners. The pro makes money long term, the beginners lose money, is because the pros understand how to maneuver around the forces, the uncontrollable forces that can affect your wealth. And things like this, where like countries, right? We're happening on a global level, many countries together, superpowers can create serious global instability around the world, which can affect one country, two country, many countries at the same time, which in turn will affect the markets, which in turn will affect your portfolio. It could even affect your jobs, your industry, right? So these are the things that you need to understand. And understanding that in advance and see the pattern before it happens can help you make certain decisions so that you can navigate that, right? So that's basically what I want to guys what I want you guys to understand is I repeat the same thing, but it applies everywhere. The uncontrollable forces that can affect your wealth, that's where it is. Now we have one. What is the uncontrollable forces? It's basically we cannot control what Russia is doing. We, and even the U.S. can control what Russia wants to do, right? And Russia wants to do a war, right? They are basically feeling threatened, and they want to take. They are taking measurements. But before we walk past that, a quick history on what's going on with Russia is prior to the 1991, there was the uh, USSR, right? And then Soviet Union. It got broken into multiple pieces. Some countries took their independence, like Ukraine. But when Ukraine took their independence, they were like the third largest arsenal in the world, right? This whole area of the world, they had a lot of guns, man, lots of guns, lots of nuclear weapon as well, right? And if you are a country and you have a nuclear weapon, there was a Cold War that throughout the whole scenario, it's where the world was really worried about any one of these countries launching a nuclear weapon to the other one and kill a lot of innocent, right? So things like this can we create a lot of fear, right? And not just the market, in just the world. So one of the kind of like peaceful thing that happened is people broke it off. The USSR broke into multiple countries in Europe right now. They got their independence, but when it comes to Ukraine, Ukraine had so many like so much weapon to kind of like help people figure out the peace. They're like, okay, I'll work with US and Russia so that we can disable all this nuclear weapon here, and we're going to make an agreement that everyone is going to keep or disable their nuclear weapon, right? So Ukraine is like, okay, so if I do that for you, what do I get in return? Russia had their eyes on Ukraine for a very long time. So Ukraine is like, I'll be doing this deal with you guys where I remove my nuclear weapon in exchange for protection whenever Russia is about to attack us. We want the protection from the US, right? That's what we want. We want the protection from the US. That's the only way I'll get rid of my guns, because if I have the protection from you, I don't need my guns anymore, right? So that's how it started. Deal was made, handshake, boom. Now, what happened is, guys, Ukraine. So a couple years passes. Now we're talking about 2013, 2014, and many countries were joining the union, right? European Union. But when it comes to the Ukraine to make that vote, I guess you could say Mr. Putin was clever in making ways of because he wants this area, right? This area is not just a geographical area that gives him an advantage reach on how he can protect his country and his power, but yeah, there is also a lot of resources, a lot of um guns, right? There is a lot of power that he can gain if he controls this area. It makes them stronger to face his enemy as opposed to weaker, right? So that's where Mr. Putin is coming from. And so, he's doing his way, whether we want to admit it or not, whether the world admits it or not, whether it's public or not. People say that he had his own puppet in power, and that's why the Ukraine did not sign with the European Union, which would have made Ukraine even stronger and out of reach from Russia, right? Because now Ukraine had deal with US, and then Ukraine had a deal with possibly have a deal with the entire European Union. So it's like Russia is like, nah, man, I'm not going to let this go like that. So the deal wasn't signed because the puppet that was there didn't allow it to be signed with the European Union. Instead, they signed a deal with Russia. Things were good, but the public did not like it. The public sensed that, hey, maybe Russia actually put their guy up there. They didn't like it, so the country was really in revolt. They were trying to chase that president away, and yeah, so since then, there have been unstable time because people wanted to be part with the most Ukrainian wanted to be part of the European Union, but Russia didn't really like that. And because Russia sensed that it was actually going to happen, that's what the public was demanding. Then they started kind of like invading, in a way, Crimea, right? Crimea, they invaded this area, which again gives them more control of the. It's a kind of like a geographical and strategical move to make sure I can control an area, the entry point, make sure that no one can enter my country from this point, right? And at the end of the day, that's what Russia is worried about. Russia wants to cover kind of like most of its corners to make sure that no one can really attack them in any way, because they have a lot of enemies. They have a lot of enemies, especially the US. Uh, Putin and I mean Russia and US have been enemies for a very long time, and they want to cover all corners. So they kind of like seize Crimea to control this area, and again, um, people are like, okay, so more moves are being made, but they're also saying that by you attacking this area, Crimea, which is in the Ukrainian region, that was a breach of the contract that was made in 1991, um, when they said, "Hey, you're not allowed to you attack me, Russia. You're not allowed to attack Ukraine because if you do, you're going to have the U.S. in your ass." Right. So that's basically what was happening, and because Russia did that move out of fear, out of kind of like I want to make sure that I'm securing all corners, that was the breach of the contract that forces the U.S. and the countries of the NATO to take actions against Russia. So every time you hear in the media since the last couple of years that Russia and U.S. and Canada has been in conflict, part of it is that. Part of it is that. And now the NATO, you probably heard that on the news. It's called a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's actually a dope organization in a sense that 30 different countries put themselves together and they form the NATO. All right. And it's kind of like a legal mafia in a way. It's kind of like a mafia on a country level instead of sort of like your typical Sicilian mafia. Now let's do it on a country level. And here's the deal of the NATO, guys. If you attack one country from of the NATO, it's like you're attacking all the countries of the NATO, and anyone or all of these countries combined can attack you. Right? If you attack any one of them, you attack the whole. It's like a very mafia like rule right here. But sometimes you have to use those resorts if you want to have protection out there and you want to control the bad guys or whoever feel. Imagine you have a trigger happy guy in the office. He wants to start a war. So he needs to know that there are entities out there that are stronger than him, a lot stronger than him, and 30 countries combining together, operating as one, is a much stronger force than just one country, regardless of how many nuclear weapon they have, right? Shout out to Peter Investor M, current sponsor of this stream as well, just with the super chat, $2.5. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support here. And let me show you guys the countries of the NATO, guys. All right, the member states of NATO. Let me zoom that a little bit. Albania, Belgium, Bulgaria, but Canada, right? A G7 country. Then you have a couple Denmark, Czech Republic, a lot of European countries that used to be part of the USS back in the days. France, Germany, these are big powers. And the Italy, right? These big powers. Netherlands, Luxembourg, United Kingdom, Turkey, Spain, and United States. Right. So these are Portugal. So these are like big powers, right? And actually, there was a time Ukraine was demanding kind of like NATO status. You wanted the demandings to join NATO. And remember, guys, there was a time Ukraine was the third largest superpower in terms of arsenal, had the largest arsenal in the world, right? So again, yeah, I don't think they still have that status, but it doesn't mean that they're light either, right? So it will just add more power to this NATO country. And if that was happening, guys, remember the rule of NATO: you attack any one of them, you attack all of them. So if Ukraine was in this rule right here, then that would seriously weaken Russia, and Russia doesn't allow that. And again, that area of Russia, it's strategic, and Russia is also interested in all their arsenal they have to increase their might, their reach to the world, their might, their arsenal power, and all. So I just find it interesting, those countries, those rules. Those are they call it Article 5, where every to have a scenario happening in this NATO, every countries have to agree unanimously. But it's interesting because every country has different goals, but when it comes to world stability and peace, and kind of like trying to keep the peace, then yeah, that's what NATO is for. And it keeps people, it makes you slow down in a way, right? And you see, it's interesting that you don't see China in there, right? You don't see China in there, you don't see Russia in there. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I just find things like that interesting. But um all that to say, guys, things are just escalating. Okay, Russia is just feeling weaker and weaker, and they want to make other moves in other ways as well that are challenging the US. So they need to reinforce kind of like the borders in a way. And one of the ways they feel like it's best for them to do so is by joining or invading or controlling Ukraine. All right, and that's sad because Ukraine is have some good Slavic women. Shout out to wealthy expat Mister. He likes Slavic women. So Ukraine is well known for their women out there, and right now it seems that they're going to have unstable times. So if you're a single guy in the chat, you can start exploring the possibility of helping those fellow ladies out there and get them to Canada or United States for safety, of course, for safety. And they might need a hug to feel better, guys. All right, guys. So that's what's going on right now in the world, and all of these scenarios, right? Because of the NATO situation, like Canada was dealing with the trucker situation locally, but they had to close this and wrap this very, very quick. Why? Because there is bigger issues in the world happening right now with Russia, and the NATO need Canada, right? So as soon as they close down and that's why the United States was pressuring Canada. It's like, man, use force, man, get rid of this. We had a bigger deal to we got a bigger fish to fry here. Russia is causing some problems. So it's like Canada is like, all right, let me close down in a weekend. Call call off all the truckers, clear up the streets, use force. Reacted the Emergency Act, where they can go after your finances, they can go after everyone who contributed to that protest. And then, now it's like, all right, let's go deal with United States. And how do they decide to deal with the United States, guys? Is by applying sanctions. And these countries, remember, these countries are also big superpowers. So they like United States, for example, they control with SWIFT. SWIFT is the plumbing for it's kind of like a plumbing for money out there, right? That's how they transfer money here and there. And yes, so more sanctions are being applied on Russia, and these sanctions, their purpose is to slow down Russia, kind of like, hey, we're serious about this, right? Remember, if you attack one of us, you attack all of us, and we don't like what you're doing. You already breached that contract that you had with in 1991 about not attacking Ukraine. So peace out there, right? Chill, chill. And if you're not chilling, we're going to give you sanctions. But it doesn't seem that the Russian Mr. Putin cares about it, right? United States. It's called the first tranche of sanctions. Jeez. First tranche of sanctions. That means there is a lot more tranche to come. And a tranche in itself is not just one, right? Could be many in that tranche, and it's the first one coming. So there is more coming. So it's like Mr. Joe Biden trying to sound tough. So President Joe Biden signed an executive order on Monday that stipulate any institution in Russia's financial services sector is targeted for further sanction. Jesus. All right. So again, you're going to try to hurt them where it hurts, right? And where is it going to hurt? Well, money. Money rules the world, right? It can hurt you and your portfolio. It can hurt you as a country, right? More than 80% of Russia's daily foreign exchange transaction and half of its trade are conducted in US dollars. Ooh, 80%, right? Now, if you're going as the US, if you're going to give a first tranche of sanctions and you're going to limit their amount, you're going to limit the ability for them to use and transact in US, then that's a serious blow to their economy, right? Because now they're going to have to rely on something else to make that transaction. Maybe whoever they're conducting business with does not want to receive, let's say, pesos or whatever, euros or whatever currencies they want to use other than US dollars. Well, if they're making a deal with China, for example, and China say, hey, you pay me in US dollars, well, that's going to, they're going to feel that impact, right? But who knows? Maybe Mr. Putin here has another way. Maybe he already thought of that, and then he had an agreement with China about gold, for example. Who knows? I don't know, right? I don't make the news. I just make speculation. Just random guy online. All right. Shout out to Peter Investor M. I believe Ukraine used to be the best place where Russia used to launch the rocket. Yes, yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's a good strategic place for them to position themselves and cover all corners when it comes to who can attack them, right? And if they're worried that they're losing Ukraine, and why do not want to lose Ukraine? Because the weaker they are, the more they are open to attacks. And you see how bold the U.S. is when it comes to giving them, making them feel the pain, right? You have the U.S., you have Canada, that rules pretty tight. So yeah, more things to come, but we'll see what happens. But shout out to you for that comment, Mr. Peter Investor M. And let's see what else we can get from this article. Washington sanctions two of Russia's state-owned bank, right? And there's also a barrage of cyber attacks happening as well, guys. Like, I actually know someone, a friend, who had to stop working for the last 2 days because of cyber attacks, right? His company was attacked by who knows what, but and it was actually related to Russia. So it's crazy, guys, because these things has real effect in the world, guys, and we never know how it could impact the world, right? So let's see. On Tuesday, the UK sanctions against five Russian banks and three Russian billionaires like Gennady Timchenko, Igor Rittenberg. Jesus. I mean, these guys are Russian. Look at that. Igor, right? Dmitry. Where's Dmitry? Dmitry's not here. All right, cool. Oh, man. Let me see. Let me see. So, man, they're going after the money, man. These guys knows how to make you feel the pain. What is the Germany's doing? Halting the process of certifying Nord Stream 2 gas line pipeline. So they're attacking your money, and then now they're attacking your ability to export oil. And what you guys don't know, guys, is Russia is one of the biggest oil exporters, and they're actually supplying oil to Europe. And now that's going to be a problem because Germany is, European countries, and gas in Germany is pretty expensive. I remember I went to Berlin 2 years ago, and yeah, it was, it was not cheap. It was not cheap there to have gas, to be driving a Mercedes. Definitely not cheap. But you had Mercedes as taxis there. Mercedes is one of my favorite cars, but I did not like seeing them as taxis, man, because here they're worth like they're kind of luxury cars. It's funny, guys, because in Germany, the luxury cars are American cars, like Mustang. Like a convertible Mustang is considered as a luxury car in Germany. So it's very interesting, right? Whatever is we export that is rare becomes luxury, and it's whoever, it's from the eye of the beholder, right? But it was a very interesting, very interesting. Let me see, Mr. Okima. Shout out to you. China will probably buy the gas from, yeah, from Russia. I'm telling you guys, I think this guy's been working on this move for years because Putin is not a dumb guy, right? I mean, if you can ride a bear shirtless, first you gotta have some cojones, some um, some testicle fortitude to even dare to attempt something like this, right? So if you're gonna go after NATO, after the big players of the world, then you gotta have a plan, right? So that's a very good comment right here because I agree with you, and that's it's not even about just the gas. I think Russia and Germany, sorry, Russia and China, they also have a plan with their own currency, kind of like to use a system of currencies that they both can have trust in without the need of the US dollars, without the need of using SWIFT, because the SWIFT system and the wire banking, that's how money is being transferred globally. But Russia is not a NATO. Russia has deals with the US, and China doesn't have is not part of NATO, and China has its own beef with US. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and China needs gas for now. Probably will always need that, right? So China will be a good customer for for Russia that can buy the gas that they usually supply to Europe, right? So, but here's where guys, this is so interesting, guys, because here's the deal. Now, if Russia is doing something like this, where they're not even using the US dollar anymore, they're partnering with the Chinese government. And then, man, thank you for that comment, man, because there's so many ways we can break this down. Because imagine this, right? Imagine Russia is working with China. They're buying gas. They're using a different currency that they both agree on, right? That is not the US dollars. This is automatically weakens the US dollar. Okay. Now we have the inflation issue happening in the US, right? US is pretty weak right now, guys. The US cannot afford another war. Period. The US cannot afford another war, not right now, because the market's been going up. It needs to crash. Biden is not doing good on the poll. He need to get reelected at some point. He cannot afford to go to another war. And the way that he left Afghanistan is pretty weak, which I believe is another reason why Russia is attacking now, because they see that, hey, this guy Biden here is, he doesn't seem like he's all the way there. So let me see what I can get, because things like this were not happening on Trump, because Putin knows, like, hey man, I cannot BS Trump like that. But he's bold enough to attack Ukraine during Biden's era, right? So I think, guys, he has a plan. I think, and remember, with Trump and China, right? Trump was basically blocking China and Russia at the same time. Trump is not here, so it's free flow, right? It's free flow. Trump will US cannot really do any sanctions to China that's going to affect them. Not now, not Biden. So I think this relationship is just going to improve, increase China between Russia, and if they are both growing out of this, they can seriously damage the US economically, because now the US has to raise rates, right? Now, if China and Russia are dumping the US dollar in the market, and then on top of that, you have the rates that has to rise, you're just going to have people defaulting on their loan, too much currency supply, price appreciation. You're going to have people mad about it. People might get to the poll. Like, it's messy. The US is not in a position of strength right now, which is why, in the first place, they need NATO, like Canada. But the thing is, everyone is following the US. All currency are paired to the US dollar. So if this is flawed, right? If the US dollar is flawed, then all the other currencies are technically flawed as well, because I'm using a flawed system to measure something and assume that it's good. But as soon as I realize there is a defect, then I have to correct the defect everywhere else. Right. So, guys, it's very interesting how this can develop, because the timing for this move is suspiciously good. So I think I don't know, man. I think they've been observing, they've been plotting this out, Russia and China together, and we'll see how that goes. Yes, Peter Investor, you're well informed, brother, man. Russia is part of BRIC, all right, which I believe is Brazil, um, Russia, and I forgot what the I was for. India, yeah, India and China. Yeah, no US. That brick, man, was a huge load. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Brazil, Russia, India, China. That brick was a huge blow to the US dollar, man. It was the nail in the coffin. Shout out to you, Need Watches. Happy to see you here. Make sure you hit the like button, guys, as you come in. K Business Podcast. How are you doing? Keep up with the good content and info. Absolutely. Thank you very much. And yes, Mr. Peter Investor M. Brick, man. This brick was a load. It's like ew, to the US, man, because this is not good. You do not want to encourage the world to be doing things like this, bypassing the US dollar. It makes the US dollar weaker, right? So, but they might use the brick. They already have that implemented for years, right? They might use the brick to do business. And now imagine, for let's remove Brazil, for example, because there's a lot of sanction that could happen where the NATO can control the sea to block anything that happened between Brazil and Russia, right? So let's say we're going with the RIC, right? The RIC. Let's say RIC, and let's say a country like Haiti, it would be rich. Oh man, sorry guys, I had to throw this joke out there. But man, Haiti is poor in terms of economic power, but rich in resources. So we never know. We might have a deal going on, and China loves to get some African country out here. So maybe they might look into Haiti, right, and be like, "Yo, you wanna add us to this deal?" And let's call it rich, right? But just the rich part, right? Russia, India, and China. So all of these areas are close, relatively close to each other, right? It's not like they have to cross a huge sea to do business with each other, right? I mean, Russia is technically Europe and Asia, Eurasia ish. India is Asia, China is Asia. So, they're covering a lot of areas right here, and they control these areas, right? So they can do business, just the three of them. Just the three of them can move many things between themselves. And yeah, from that perspective, was NATO? I mean, I don't think I saw India in NATO. Yeah, there you go. And when we look at NATO, guys, India is not part of the NATO. So this is a very powerful alliance, right? This is a very powerful alliance that, although it's just four countries, but it can cause serious problems to NATO, because NATO's are operating on two currencies that are getting weaker. It's the US dollars mainly, right? And it is also the euros. The euro and US dollar over time will be weaker. I mean, the euro right now is stronger than the US dollar, but when you look at how many countries are part of Europe in here, I guess you could see it's more euro than anything else. But when it comes to the way forex works, guys, it's the US first paired with the US is the global currency. US first is being compared with everything else, right? US first, everything else. And if there is an issue with US, right? If I'm using this pen to understand, this is the quality insurance, right? I'm doing quality insurance on all the pen that is coming in my factory or coming out of my factory. And I'm like, this is the perfect pen. I need to know any other pens that is coming out of this factory. I need to evaluate that with this. So here's another pen. right? You know what? It's not even the same color, it's not even the same height. Boom. But let's imagine now the pen that we've been using for the last 2 years to evaluate the market. We're like, oh, the whole time there was a huge hole there, there was a gap there was a broken issue there. And then now we have to go back to evaluate all the previous pens and see, hey, was did we reject a pen that was actually good, but now we know this pen. I mean, we thought it was bad back then, but we know it's good now. Well, that's kind of the process, the same logic, the same analogy that happens with the currencies, guys. If I'm using the US dollar as a unit of measure, and then there is an issue with the US dollar, hence too much currency supply, right? Versus not enough in the bank, versus let's do a bank run and then all banks are shutting down at the same time, versus for the interest rate are staying low for too long, getting people to lose confidence on the US dollars, forcing people to raise the price to control inflation, yet risking the market crash, risking people defaulting on loans that they've been collecting for years, right? These are big issues with US dollars, right? Now, because every other currencies were comparing themselves with that, that creates the same problems in other currencies as well, hence the euros. So that's what I'm saying, guys. And it can cause serious issues. So now when you come up with a system like this, where the true value is not the currency. The true value is what is the country providing. China is the manufacturing of the world. India has tons of potentials and as an emerging market. Russia is right superpower for ages. So together, guys, they have a lot of potential. They have oil, right? That alone is a big asset, a big value to the world, right? So they can do business like that and serious effectively um, the US guys, and US is going to need help. They're going to need help if they're going to get that. So that's why that NATO situation is important, and it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon, right? Like the US has a tendency of starting wars and stay very long in these wars, but now we're talking about a global economic war that is brewing just from that Russia slash Ukraine situation, and that creates a lot of uncertainty because the world doesn't really know which way it can go. And if I don't know which way it can go, I cannot plan for it, and that's how you have fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and market crash. And remember, if the market crash over 20%, bear market, well deep, and then if we have 2 quarters of slow economic declines, not recession, right? And then longer than that, it's depression, all right? Market depression. So that's the story of how Russia is seriously impacting the market and has the potential to last even longer. There are a couple of things I wanted to mention as well. We're going to talk about that, but I just wanted to acknowledge the chat very very briefly. Wealth production, how you doing, man? This looking crazy overall. Yeah, I know it's a little bit complex, many factors, and but it's interesting to see how those information, I mean, those random thing that you see in the news can have a direct impact in your portfolio. But don't waste an opportunity, crisis. Never let a crisis go to waste. And even as an investor, you can think of that as well, because crisis for an investor means you get to buy your favorite cryptocurrencies and stocks at a discount. That's what it means, guys. It discounts season. It's Black Friday, right? That's what it is. You see during the Winter Olympic the collaboration. No, I didn't see. No, I sorry, man. I've been totally off like TV. I don't barely watch that anymore. But tell me more, man. Tell me more. You see during the Winter Olympics the collaboration, the Russian and Indian. All right, man. That's probably sending some message out there, right? The geopolitical collaboration, Russia. Russia and China during the Winter Olympics scandal. No, man. Sorry, man. I'm misinformed. I am misinformed. When it comes to Olympics, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But based on what you're saying, um, Winter Olympics scandal. What happened? Let me just throw that. What? What's going on? What's going on? Wait, let me finish with the comment section and dive deeper into this because that could be interesting and gives us more insight on what's going on. They're friendly, right? These guys are friendly because they know what's up. They know what's up. Let me see. Elon Musk SpaceX might benefit from the Russian Ukraine conflict. How? How so? Um, how so? SpaceX. Very curious on that. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes. I'm just curious. Man, you're getting me interested, man. So first, let's tackle one of the things you mentioned. Let's see this. Let's start with this. You see during the Olympics winter collaboration, the Russian. Oh wait. I didn't even Google that yet. God damn. All right. So wait. Satellite launches. So what you're saying? The they might stop Russia from launching satellites. They might sanction Russia to stop launching new satellites. Okay. Elon Musk might benefit from the Russian-China conflict. No, that's not what you meant. Oh, if you mean this, I think you mean yeah, Russian China. Okay, so let's look at it quickly because there's many things going on in the chat. I want to do it one at a time. So let's focus on that for now. Curtain falls on Beijing Olympics, marred by politics and doping scandal. Russia and doping scandal, man. Jesus Christ! But it's funny because they're saying that it married also by politics. So a Beijing Winter Olympic, which saw a sporting drama and milestone, but was tarnished by a Russian doping scandal, ended on Saturday with an uplifting closing ceremony. Man, what's up with Russia and dope, man? Jesus, it's like what? This is the third time. Is that the third time? Whoo! But so what was the scandal? The scandal is that they still finished the Olympics. They still got them their medals. They didn't sanction them as hard as they did last time. The Bird Nest Stadium, which took the entire so declaring the game. Sorry, guys, I'm just going through this because that's the first time I'm hearing about this. In this Olympic spirit of solidarity, we call the international community give equal access to vaccines. Not saying anything. Doping overshadow games. Wait, let me see if I can get more info very quickly. Milestone. What was the scandal part? Let me know, man. Oh, damn bot. Sorry, there's a bot here. The bot here I have to tackle. But yeah, let me anyway you could give me a summary of this scandal. What was the scandal part for Russia? Is it just the doping part? Like did the China was pretty nice with them? Like how did China treat them with this doping scandal? Because I'm not going reading, I'm not finding very quick sizable tweetable information I can read here. I'd have to think of it deeper. But hey, that's something. That is something. But yeah, that was like what was it like last week? This week that we were still in on Winter Olympics. So it's not and yeah, Winter Olympics is the entire world, right? But lots of politics are happening at the same time. So I'm wondering if China kind of like was went easy on them, and went easy on them because there is bigger politics at play, because they're kind of like allies in a way, right? Yeah, the allies. You don't want to be strong, even though Russia is doping people, and technically should be eliminated, and and remove all your medals. But what's up with Russia and dope, man? Anybody knows? Anybody knows what Russia and dope? Why Russians are obsessed with dope? They probably have the best dope in the world, man. Because they, well, maybe it's not that good because they always get caught. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. They're obsessed with dope. Let's see. Elon's SpaceX might benefit from Russian-Ukraine conflict satellite launch. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me see. See if I can find any information on that. SpaceX benefit from Russia, Ukraine. But that's satellite launch. I mean, it wouldn't be in favor of US that that they would send more satellites. But I but it doesn't even matter to me because a move like that, if you're going to make a move like that, you want to launch your satellites way before. So that's why I don't understand um, how that going to help unless people were dealing with Russia to hire them to send satellites in general, but there were no private company other than SpaceX doing that. So I'm actually very curious. There is a Russian that was allowed to continue to participate after being found doping. Double standard to double standard to the running scandal on a female runner. Yes. Ooh. Is that why? Was it Cherie? Yes. 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 USA female runner. What's her name? Sorry guys, I've been so obsessed with yeah, Shakari, right? Was it her name? Yeah, Shakari. Shakari. It was her. Shakari, that was something happened to her where she wasn't accepted for doping. She was caught for doping and wasn't allowed to continue. And she was breaking records, right? Oh man, I remember back in the day, this girl, man. This girl was fit and she was pretty. But this girl, man, is crazy, right? She was breaking records, but then she was fine. Was it even doping or was it just like marijuana? That's the thing. Was it even dope? I don't think it was doping. I think it was just, I mean, drugs, yeah, but marijuana versus doping, there's a difference, right? Versus Russia and China. So now, if you're saying he was allowed to continue, yeah, interesting, right? Interesting. Of course, there's double standards, but man, there are bigger forces that is affecting this situation here. And when you are dealing with NATO, right? When you have your enemies, when your enemy of your enemy is attacking you, your enemies of enemies become your friend, right? So Russia and China they gotta have a go. They gotta keep it together, man. They gotta keep it together. Interesting point. Interesting point. Now let's talk about this, sir. Elon Musk and SpaceX might benefit from the Russian-Ukraine conflict. How? How so? Satellite launch. Any thing you want to elaborate on that? I'm very curious, my man. You want me to send you a link? You want to discuss that if you want to? If not, you can send a text. By the way, so thank you very much, Mr. Peter Investor M. I did receive the PayPal. I actually try not to share my PayPal anymore because I notice it exposes people name and some people are not comfortable with that. So I would prefer the kind of like the face the YouTube, despite YouTube taking a huge cut at it, but at least for sake of protecting your name and all that, then if that's okay with you, I prefer I much value you protect your names instead of sending Cash App for or PayPal to get me more money, right? It's I'm okay with that. So if you want, you can stick with the super chat, and that's good enough. But it's up to you. I don't know how you find it, but thank you very much. It was really appreciated too, because that stream was affected with the demonetization. They still allow me to monetize it at the end, but they seriously reduced the amount of ads that were put in there. So basically, it's as if as they demonetize it, right? So thank you very much. It was really appreciated. But I'm very interested now. Let's talk about this, sir. Elon Musk, SpaceX might benefit from Russian Ukraine act and satellite launches. How would that happen? How would satellite launches affects Russia and Elon Musk benefit from it? Would they hire SpaceX to do a certain job as opposed to Russia? Was done before? I'm not sure about that. I'm not informed about that. Very curious. If you can drop a comment, that would be very appreciated. All right. All right, guys, let's continue until we get a comment from Peter M about that because I'm still curious and I want to cover it. But yes, guys, in a nutshell, Russia is one of the largest producer of oil, supplying a lot of European oil. Um, Oil was rising $100 a barrel, and that indicates also oil prices will be rising all over the place, right? When remember what a bear market slash recession is, it's activities of negative economic platform, economic negative economic happening creates that recession. But when you have the price of oil rising, it means the price of everything derived from oil will be rising as well, right? So there is so many things like plastic, for example, right? Plastic is just random. But if oil prices are rising, plastic prices are rising. And if plastic price rises, then everything in the world is made of plastic. So not everything, you get my point. But a lot of things in the world are made of plastics, and that could really increase the price of everything. Salute to you, Mr. Real Deal Financial. Mr. Financial is the real deal right here. Salute. And yes, so price increase, right? We have fear, uncertainty, and doubt that can create a crash in the market. You have the price of gas increasing, which in direct correlation will increase prices of many and other industries, transport industry, right? If it costs you more to drop that grocery in your grocery store than that fruits and legume in your grocery stores, fruit and produce, then yeah, it's going to affect the price, right? So there is also a chip shortage. There's been going a chip shortage for a while, and apparently Russia is having is suffering from that chip shortage too. Limiting supply also rise costs, and now the chip are in everything that is electronics. And the more time goes by, the more things we have that are electronics related, the more things we had that need chips, like satellites, for example. Going back to Mr. Peter Investor M, Russian use Ukraine to launch commercial spaceship. Commercial. Oh, okay. SpaceX launches Ukraine satellites. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Man, you're on top of this global news, sir. Macroeconomic. But yeah, the thing is, SpaceX is not a public company, right? We can't profit from it. It's only the private investors that are happy right now from this. But that could indeed be a challenge to Russia if they used to launch commercial stuff, commercial spaceship. I actually thought only SpaceX was doing that, but it's interesting that other countries are jumping into the game because yeah, it used to be a play just for countries before Elon Musk got into this game. So, but yeah, it makes sense. Like other companies, like Telcom, for example, might want to partner with a country or that had the rockets. They have their astronauts and all, so they might want to partner with that to launch certain things in space for commercial use. So, so interesting. Now, all these deals will go to SpaceX, which can probably manufacture reusable rockets at cheaper price, and they also launch Ukraine commercial spaceship. So we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. But very interesting. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate your comment. Salute to you, Jill's Chocolate, stopping by to show support. Thank you very much. Yes, editing your chocolate, your videos. Sorry, every time I see you, I think of chocolate. And I made money from my bear market tweet X S&P SPX sticker. All right. Did you do a put? I remember we were talking about doing a put last time. Is that what you do? Tweet X. All right. That's good. That's good. Trading options, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Good job, man. Good play. Um, as a trader, definitely these are good moves. Me, I'm out of the trading game. I much prefer lazy investing, man. That's actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, as I'm going to close the stream soon. But yeah, man, these days, man, I like to sit back, relax, enjoy the fun. I like dividends, man. Dividends, collecting dividends and rewards. And now I've been experimenting with a cryptocurrency for about a month now, and I must say, guys, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty happy. I made a Patreon post on it already a couple days ago. I'm going to release a video on it on my YouTube channel maybe next week or the week after, one of these two, whenever I can fit it in. But it's interesting, guys. There is this cryptocurrencies that is the market doesn't affect it. Stock market crashing, this cryptocurrency is booming. Like cryptocurrencies are crashing, this cryptocurrency is stable. It's not being it's irrelevant from the market, and I get my 1% per day every day. That's the second crypto I invested in that pays me a staking reward of 1%. So I'm really enjoying that. I love the 1% staking because if you hold it for a full year, that's basically 265% payout, 1% per year every day. And when you recompound that every day, whew, my, my guy, my guy, when you compound that, it's another level. It's another level when you compound that. It's kind of like 30x or something when you recompound it every day. So yeah, that's what I love to do, guys. I love to hold a project, and I don't sell the principal, and the project is just printing money for me. My goal this year with this cryptocurrency is actually to retire from it. And remember, my goal to retire is $5,000. That is my financial independence number. $5,000 US a month from an investment that does not require my time is the ultimate dream for me. If I can get that, I'm good. If I can raise that to 10,000, yeah, nice to have. But 5,000 bare minimum, that's what I'm aiming right now. And with these cryptocurrencies, with that 1%, I could get to that goal way faster than I anticipated. I actually anticipated to retire in the next 3 years. But if my plan works well, I might do it in half the time. All right. In half the time, I might be able to do it just from the leveraging of compounding that 1% investment every day. And I'm being very conservative when I say half the time. It can be done in less than a year. So I have a plan for that. I will I describe my plan on Patreon/Discord, exclusive Discord. I might touch on it roughly on YouTube next week. But yes, guys, that's what I love to do, man. Just sit back, relax, cash flow value investing. Even in a bear market, I can collect rewards on the cryptocurrencies that are appreciating over time. So that's the why. How do you ride the bear market? That's one of the way you ride the bear market is you buy something, and then you, if it pays dividend, great. If not, then you continue to do dollar cost average on your way down, and then you focus on cryptocurrencies or stocks that have value and have strong fundamentals. And you also want to see a trend where the fundamental is getting better over time, right? So if every 3 months there is a news release that makes the fundament that proves, validate that the fundamentals are getting better, then yeah, even in a bear market, even if the price is crashing, you want to buy it, right? I'm also releasing videos on the big investing ideas on my channel, and I'll put the playlist on my homepage so that it can be easier to find. But things like this will give you also good ideas, good sectors you can look into to start looking for potential investments and good fundamentals, right? So if you find, because these research papers, they're a good way to start your fundamental research and understand where the trend is going. And if you can understand that, then yeah, that's how you make some good money out there. Salute to you, Andre Terry. And but yeah, so a recap is, guys, bear market is happening here when the market dropped 20%. That's when we officially are on a bear market. We've seen that in cryptocurrencies, well, for a while now, but in stock market we haven't really dropped 20% like and stay there consistently. But the it's going there, guys. It's heading there. It's there is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt due to the instability of what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. It's causing NATO to force sanctions on Russia, but it doesn't seem Russia is bending the knee, right? Russia does not seem like they want to bend the knee, so that means they're going to be more aggressive. And shout out to Peter Investor M for mentioning that. It's very possible that they have a partnership with China, right? It was also Mr. Okima, yeah, Okima, who mentioned that also there is a possibly some deal with China and Russia, and then there is also this deal as well, the BRIC system, which makes sure there is no which makes sure, hey, I don't need to use the US dollars. So there are other ways that the Russia is being independent right now, that they can still do what they wanted to do without the threat of a serious panic from the NATO, right? We noticed that there are some countries, that United States, freezing banks of billionaires and banks, and making sure they affects their ability to transfer money, uh, affects the ability to trade oil in Germany, right? So there's more and more things happening here. And then all that is causing the price of oil to rise on top of the inflation threat that we had earlier this year. Inflation are rising, gas is rising, which lead to more inflation. And then we have an hyperinflation situation, right? Threat that could happen from all the money that was printed in the last 2 years, which is why I believe Russia has been smart on the way they've been approaching this. Waited for the money to take effect, starting to show on this inflation, limiting U.S. ability to really be aggressive in terms of war. Also, raising interest rate. They have to raise interest rate, and also Biden, the way he left Afghanistan, has been criticized around the world that it was the bad thing to do. And then people like Putin, they see that, hey, that's a act of weakness. Maybe the iron is hot. Let me strike it. And how do you take benefit from that? You look into some cryptocurrencies or stock markets, that the stocks that are either in innovation. Check out the big investing ideas from Her Majesty Cathy Wood. And yes, guys, you focus on value and fundamentals. If the fundamentals are good, and the values are increasing, are getting better over time, and the fundamentals are also more fundamentals are being added over time, don't worry about the price. The price is just relative. You can buy it dollar cost average your way down, and then you can also do a limit buys. You can set a price and say, hey, if this stock reach this price, I want to buy $1,000 or $10,000 worth of it, right? And then you put your buy order with a limit order, right? It's a limit buy order, and then you do it that way so that if this happens while you sleep, while you're at work, something like that, and it happens and it hit your price, then you're automatically in the market. You're not um, you didn't miss this opportunity, because sometimes you can decide to go low and then it happens so fast that you don't even have time to benefit from it. You don't even have time to buy it unless you have a limit buy order. So that allows you to stay on top of these trades and make sure that you can buy things at a relatively good price and go from there. With that said, guys, I see more butts coming after my neck. But that's all I wanted to mention to you. This is how you ride the bear market, like Putin on a bear. You make sure you focus on strong fundamentals, and you want to see a trend where the fundamentals are getting better and lots of adding more value to the project. And then if that's the trend, and you want to have a good case as well of where it's leading in the future, market wise, with a number, right? Market cap. If you can have a market size, what's the percentage of the market this is growing to be, and you have a good estimation of that, then you know it's a much more educated and decision that you can make versus just, hey, this feels good, let me buy. And yeah, so, and then again, like next year, next week, I might talk about that crypto. It pays me 1% per day, and what I'm doing and how it could help me achieve my retirement plans in half the time that I estimated to achieve it. But we'll talk about that. And one last comment I see from Peter Investor M, the current sponsor of this stream. And shout out to J Bones as well for his super sticker earlier. And let me give me a second, sir. I gotta save those super chat too, because I'm doing a counter. See how many people give me super chats, and I have a surprise for everyone who super chat on my channel. So thank you for sponsoring this stream, Mr. Peter Investor M. And yeah, let me read this comment. There is a secret space war between Russia and the US unbeknown to us. It dates to President Reagan. I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not just a space. Also, there is a reason why there's so many there is so many station, right? U.S. stations, U.S. military stations in the world, across the world. There's a very good reason for that, and it has to do with that space war. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Russia just declared war at Ukraine. Putin just addressed the nation. Yeah, it's so easy. I mean, we all know it was going to get there. People were like, he wasn't backing down with his sanction. So is that it, guys? Is that it? Let me. I'm going to shut the stream and see what he's saying. But that's is going markets tomorrow, man. If you're right, Edouard Di Matteo. Shout out to you, by the way. I don't think I've seen you before here, Di Matteo. But salute to you, man. Thank you for this comment. Thank you for letting us know. But if that's true, guys, tomorrow when you're going to see the market, it's going to drop. Mr. Real Deal Financial. That could be some move for you as well. All right. If you're an option trader, if you didn't have your puts ready, or maybe you can do some day trading with options tomorrow as well. We'll see it. All right. So with that said, guys, I'll close the stream now. But thank you for your time. We will talk Sunday around 8-ish. And yes, guys, stay alert to see what the topic was going to be about. And if you're watching this stream, sometimes I put my 10 minutes videos daily. I'll put one tomorrow as well, whenever you can. click the like button, write a comment. What do you think about this video? It really helps the channel grow. So I've been trying to get as many people aware of this movement that we're doing here. Learn how to make, keep, and multiply money for the purpose of building generational wealth. You increase your network along the way. So and retire early, right? Retire early. I'm on my journey to retire right now. Possibly could achieve it in the next year and a half as opposed to the next 2 years because of a shortcut I found on YouTube. But it doesn't mean that there is always a shortcut and high risk, high reward, right? And not YouTube, crypto. I mean, yeah, not YouTube, but crypto. Shortcut on crypto, but high risk, high reward. And I'm going to take a lot of risk to possibly achieve that in a year and a half. And even if my risk fail, then I'm still going to meet my 2 year deadline. So that's the way I invest. I don't sacrifice that. So yeah, in about 2 years, I expect to be retired. But if I'm right, it could happen in a year and a half at the very conservative level. And if you are in the Discord, guys, joining on Discord, we were talking about real estate earlier on the Discord with this crazy deal that one of my real estate agent was informing me. So join the panel on Discord if you want in on that. And yes, guys, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Click the like button, write a comment if you're watching on replay. And we'll meet on the next one. Salute everyone and good night.
Hey, yeah. It's all about wealth engineering. Might be something that you're not used to. It's okay, cause I'm here to introduce you to concepts. Time to grow and make big moves. All about crypto, come see. Stocks in business, yes indeed. Got the info that you need. Hosted by my homie JC. Hey, yeah. Wealth engineering. Stacking and stacking it up. It's time to generate wealth. Till you living